And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. Man, you heard the woman, the choices of the voices section of the show, where we ask the question, you answer, we give our answers, and we probably pick out our guests, make them mad. But you know what? It's all in good, clean fun. This is what we do here at SportsBros Podcast. If you haven't noticed, 100 plus episodes in, we have fun. Also, thank you for those of you that watched my extra pepper video involving the situation with Kevin Durant and Michael Rappaport. Hopefully you took away some educational lessons from it. All right. And with that being said, Scotty D, what's the question for this week's Choices of the Voices?
Let me tell you something, Eddie Cool. We decided this week we were going to go with WrestleMania theme. And by God Live, we got some good responses on who is your favorite wrestler of all time. Woo! Eddie Cool, what did we get here?
Look, you remember that Choices of the Voices what we had with the cereal and the movies? Yeah, we got we got another lengthy one here too. All right, and speaking of woo himself, we got the OG, the Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max, and he said, woo! Ric Flair, to be the man, you gotta beat the man. All right, so so
too easy.
He's on the top of everybody's list. Everybody likes Ric Flair.
Yeah, who does like Ric Flair? Even though what's going on now on TV, everybody still loves Ric Flair. Gotta love Ric Flair. Brian Early, he said it would have to be the Road Warriors. Yep, Hawk and Animal.
What a rush.
Somebody else put that too, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, somebody else put that too. No, it was just Brian Early, but I think I found someone else too. But I'll mention
someone else wrote their quote though. Ooh, what a rush! I forget who that was.
Yep, somebody put, ooh, what a rush. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it at? You know, we'll get there when we're there. All right, so moving right along, we have JR. He said the legend killer, Randy Orton.
The Viper.
Yep. Who's in a
Randy Orton out of nowhere with that answer.
Hey,
yep.
The three most devastating letters in all of sports entertainment: RKO.
Yep.
And but I'm gonna say this: WWE, do better, because you did not do anybody any favors with that terrible, and I'm gonna say again, terrible match between Randy Orton and The Fiend, featuring Alexa Bliss and fireballs and thorns, and y'all in some dangerous territory. I know it's entertainment, but boy, y'all doing a lot. So I'm gonna just say do better, y'all. But Randy Orton and The Fiend are both very talented WWE superstars. Y'all gotta do better. Alexa Bliss as well. That's just please let's trash that whole storyline. I digress. Yes, sir.
Yep, time to start something different. Terrible. Pete Talansky, he said, mine is a tie between two. Number one, the Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah, dig it. And I know everyone who read this did it in his voice. How can you not? How can you not? How can you not?
Snap it to a Slim Jim.
Ooh, yeah, brother. Dig it. Uh-huh. All right, so here we go.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's one of the very few commercials that actually works for me. I definitely bought a lot more Slim Jims just because of Macho Man. I'm just saying.
Yep, just because of him. All right, so here we go. He said, he always amped up and so entertaining. He said his 1A is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. From his start in the Rockers to him putting Marty Jannetty through the glass window in the barbershop to D-Generation X, now to teaching the up-and-comers at NXT, he has just been so good and so influential, for so long. So we got one for the Macho Man and another one for HBK, Shawn Michaels, who wasn't
a sexy boy. Sexy boy. I'm not a boy. Toy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you witness us act like we're 7 and 10 years old all over again. As you can tell, we are wrestling fans, and we ain't ashamed of it either. All right, Chris Phillips. Yeah, he was the one, Scotty D. Ooh, what a rush. The Road Warriors, a.k.a. the Legion of Doom. All right. And the best name in the game, Joe Comfort, he said, there are so many answers dancing around in my head. He gave several good ones. He said, so I'll preface by saying that I've always loved legitimate tough guys and sound mat technicians. It's a toss-up between Bruiser Brody, Harley Race, and William Regal. And about Bruiser Brody, he said, Brody was the quintessential brawler who never let on otherwise. He was an ass kicker. He ain't lying. Harley Race mixed it up with the best of them, and shoot stories of his toughness are legendary. Regal's mastery of the mat wrestling and holds is second to none. He's probably forgotten more ways to inflict pain than most wrestlers know. And he said, with all that being said, he'll give the nod to the Kansas City tough guy, Harley Race, who is the toughest wrestler on God's green earth. If you have a chance, my favorite Harley Race promo was the one where he put a bounty out on Ric Flair's head, and he was like, there it is, $50,000 large. You take it. Kabuki, Paul Jones, you and your people, somebody got to eliminate Ric Flair from wrestling. Take the damn money. I will post that. Oh my God. I will post that promo up on our Facebook like page. Come and get it. It was hilarious. Handsome Harley Race, RIP to a legend. Martin Tracy, I said some foolishness here. He said Zion Clark, best to ever walk the earth. Scotty D, can you explain that? Who the hell is Zion Clark?
I think he's a amateur wrestler with no legs.
No, we're not about to do that.
No, I'm serious. I think that's what he was talking. I think that's what he's talking about.
That's what I get for not doing my research. But we'll put our research department on that. All right. And so we got a new one here. Jeffrey Scott Dean, he said Superfly Jimmy Snuka diving off the top of the cage. Yep, the
Superfly was so popular whenever I was a kid. He was like Hulk Hogan popular before Hulk Hogan came back to the WWF and became the champion. Jimmy Superfly Snuka, man. All the kids in grade school were walking around showing the I love you sign and wanting to jump off the swing set on each other and stuff like that, man. That was crazy. He was super popular.
Yeah, a lot of little kids jumped off a lot of stuff and broke up a lot of limbs.
And let me go ahead and go ahead and do this real quick. I apologize to Matty Ice because Zion Clark, yes, he has no legs. He right now wrestling at Kent State, but I've actually seen a couple of his matches, and he's really he's very technically sound and everything. And there's a story about him on Netflix, the 11-minute film Zion. So I'm actually going to check that out because that is
he's legit. Yeah, he's legit.
Yeah. So that is you got to understand when it comes to the people that we know and the amount of shenanigans that goes on when it comes to us here at the Sports Bros podcast. When we see stuff that we don't know, we might immediately call shenanigans, and so we did that. Apologies, real deal, legit. And actually, that is definitely a good shout out to Zion Clark. So
yeah, and I apologize. I didn't mean it whenever I said he's an amateur wrestler with no leg. I wasn't meaning it like as a joke. I mean, he's legit. Yeah.
Because honestly, I didn't know. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know. So
I looked him up the other day and saw that. So I didn't take it as Matty Ice was making fun of him for having no legs. I think he was legitimately saying this dude was a legit, kind of hero in the way but he's pointing out a guy that has overcome a handicap.
Yep. So as far as that goes, yes, he is a legit hero. Moving right along, we got Craig Burns. He says Chief J Strongbow, and I think that was the 70s. If I'm not mistaken, the good old
70s, early 80s. Yeah, him and his brother Jules Strongbow were tag team champions a couple times, and Chief J used to. It was and kind of the precursor to the way Hulk Hogan would Hulk up. Chief J would, guys would be pounding on him, and he'd go into like his little Indian war dance where the hits were coming, they weren't affecting him like he did, and then he would go off and throw chops and all that stuff. So yeah, he was a throwback for sure.
Yep, good old Chief J Strongbow. Dave Romito, he says the Olympic gold medalist himself, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's own Kurt Angle.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Oh yes. And
very big entertainer. He was really entertaining.
He's
What
funny.
and didn't he tease coming back? Didn't he tease coming back? And I didn't see anything about it. He posted something on like his Instagram or on Facebook or something like that where he was teasing coming back, and then
I think that was because on AEW they were announced a surprise person returning that ended up being Christian. I think that's why Kurt Angle put that out there just to create a little bit more drama that he could possibly have been that mystery person when AEW had that pay-per-view last month. I think that's what that was about.
You had me convinced.
Yeah, had me convinced too. Because I was like, what in the world's going on? Mark Olds, he also said Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, brother. Yep, Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. Matthew Neff, he said in the 80s, AA, Arn Anderson, the enforcer of the Four Horsemen, 90s and 2000s, HBK, and then he said Zack Ryder, purely based on trying so hard and being destroyed by the WWE. Zack Ryder was kind of just dwindling out of nowhere until he took his creative career in his own hands. And Vince was like, hey, I want you to go grab the brass ring. And he had a series on YouTube called The Z Long Island Stories, kind of like a knockoff of the E! True Hollywood Stories. And it was entertaining. Who was subscribed to it? I was. It was entertaining. It was funny. He was singing about Bud Light Lime, doing stuff that Long Islanders does. And then, he had his moment at WrestleMania and won the Intercontinental Championship. And then that was it. Next thing you know, you got Kane throwing him off the ramp in a wheelchair. And
they killed that poor guy's career.
Yeah, I was like, hey, man, you got a guy that went out there and, as the promoter says, get over. He went out there and got over, and then it's a log jam. You got a roster full of a bunch of people, man. Things like that are prone to happen. Brittany Taylor, she said, the guy that looked like the Crow, I helped her out, and it was the man called Sting.
The icon.
And you can hear Tony Schiavone right now. It's Sting. I'm pretty sure at some point in time it will get old, but maybe because. But one thing I will say is that you can legit see him light up when he announces Sting on AEW right now. Like it's genuine how much he enjoys that, and that's something he's definitely known for. One thing I also looked up when Matthew mentioned Zack Ryder just before that, because I was like, he's in AEW right now, but he actually isn't. Matt Cardona, he goes on the name Matt Cardona, and I think that's his actual real name.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess during COVID he didn't return or something like that. But he is looking to return. But this store was back in October. Haven't heard anything from him since. But maybe we could see a Zack Ryder, aka better known as the real name Matt Cardona, in the future, because I liked him too. I really did.
Be Live. Quick update. He is in Impact Wrestling. That's where he's at.
He's at, okay. Yeah. I thought I saw him, but he's at Impact. Cool.
Yeah, he's in Impact Wrestling.
Isn't the Impact moving to Thursday night?
They are.
Yeah, the Impact's moving to Thursday, so we'll once again have 5 full days of wrestling. Good God, not enough time. Not enough time. But we learned that this week. I'm like, there's something going on every freaking day. Like from Sunday to Sunday, there's something going on. All right, and moving right along, we got the big boss man himself, Bruce Diamond. He says, Scotty too hottie, The Rock, the American Dream, baby, Dusty Rose, the son of a plumber, hard times, baby, and Brutus, the barber beefcake.
There's a different one. Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah. Yep. And then we had a first mention of The Rock. Can you smell what the Scott is cooking? I'm just going to get that out the way.
Finally, the Scott has come back to the Sports Bros podcast. I can't do the eyebrow thing.
I can do it.
Hey,
look, I thought I had ambidextrous eyebrows, but this is the dominant eyebrow. I've given it a few times before. Rock, give me my royalties on that damn eyebrow. And Doug Severs, I decided to give him a name, and I'll explain it. Playboy Doug Severs. The reason I called him Playboy Doug Severs because there was a wrestler by the name of the late, great, legendary AWA wrestler in the 70s and the 80s, Playboy Doug Summers. Yeah, Playboy Doug Summers. And he said, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! Yep. So
a limousine ride.
Jet flying. Yep. And we got another one for Ric Flair. Monique Adams, nice to see you again. She said, The Undertaker.
First mention of the Undertaker, and yeah, that is he's definitely up there, and just the different personas, and like literally to this day can electrify the wrestling audience. So the most legendary entrance of all time by far. I don't think there's any that comes second. It will take him 15 minutes during WrestleMania to get to the ring,
and half an hour to get out.
Yep. When I say milking it, he milked it. There was one time I was at a friend's house, and I was like, I said that we're gonna do a timer from first.
Yeah, I remember that.
From first gong until the bell rings, and it was about damn near 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, damn near 5 minutes. But
man.
But with him
legendary.
But with him officially retiring, you enjoy those damn 5 minutes. All right, move right along. We got a new one here. Chris Rivera, he said, Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart, The Rock, the phenomenal AJ Styles, and the boss herself, Sasha Banks. Okay.
Ooh, I love some boss.
Yeah, so we got our first mentions of the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, and the boss, Sasha Banks.
AJ Styles, the only now 2-time what's
Grand Slam.
Grand Slam. He did Grand Slam in Impact and in WWE. That's second to none. To be and then that doesn't even count all the stuff he did internationally in the Japan circuit either. Like AJ Styles, I would say internationally is probably one of the greatest of all time. He's
phenomenal.
Oh yeah, the phenomenal. I actually bought one of my call him my nephew. He's not really my nephew, but when we were at when we went to Cleveland, when we went to that pay-per-view, me and Eddie did
in Detroit.
That was in Detroit. I bought a good friend of mine AJ Styles gloves and brought back for him. Yep. He loves wrestling. He actually is he's been wrestling for years as a kid and everything, and he's been traveling to different tournaments and everything. So you might see him in the WWE. So you're gonna hear it here first. Andy Anderson Arnett, we hope to see you in WWE, and we're big fans here at the Sports Bros podcast. Yes, sir.
Already out the gate. Yeah, little known fact, I don't know if a lot of folks know, but AJ Styles had a brief stint in WCW as a part of a tag team called Air Raid. They had a cruiserweight tag team division. It was him, this guy named Air Paris, and AJ Styles had a brief run in WCW. And he's been a while for a long time, and no doubt, man. I mean, whatever Impact couldn't do, he'd done in ROH in Japan, and now he's here in the WWE. And when he debuted at the Royal Rumble, I was like, "Who's that?" And I saw it's phenomenal. Those goosebumps I mentioned earlier, yes, I got them again, because see, a lot of times when it comes to the wrestling industry, they got something called dirt sheets or rumor reports, and a lot of things get leaked. But whoever didn't leak that one, thank you. We appreciate it now more than ever. All right, last but not least, we got Corey Loggerin. He said the newest member of the WWE Hall of Fame, Rob Van Dam, aka I got some rolling papers. What?
Man, that was epic. That was epic. And just he was another one just lit up like the universe, like the wrestling universe, is whenever he entered, and the entire crowd, and that he was definitely one, and well deserving him in the Hall of Fame. So
one of the early high flyers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one of the early high flyers, man. He was another guy. I remember, oh my God, I'm really starting to show my age. A long time ago, there was a promotion based out of North Carolina called South Atlantic Pro Wrestling. I remember when he was there, and I think he was under the name Robbie V. I remember him back then. I remember him when he was in WCW, and then I saw him in ECW. I'm like, oh, we got a good guy. And so by that time, he honed his craft and was very good, and he became Mr. Monday Night and the whole effing show. And he's pretty much been all over the place. Yeah, so if you want to get y'all some rolling papers, go to RVD CBD and get you some rolling papers. I can't believe they did that. I know Peacock is tripping. We want kid-friendly entertainment. Yeah. Mommy, what's rolling papers? Yeah, good job explaining that one. Good job.
One day, marijuana will be legal in all 50 states, and we'll look back at this time and it'll be okay. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. As long as you teach your kids responsibility and all the other things. And we here at the Sports Bros podcast do not condone drug use in any way, fashion, whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that what's called disclaimer notice out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, disclaimer.
But
don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. With that being said, shout out to
Scott. Why are you looking at me like that?
Crazy.
Yeah, let's carry on.
Hey, and with that being said, shout out to Uncle Max, Brian Early, JR, Terrible Pete Talansky, Chris Phillips, the best name in the game, Joe Comfort, Martin Tracy, Joe Scott Dean, Craig Burns, Dave Romito, Mark Olds, Matthew Neff, Brittany Taylor, the Big Boss Man, Bruce Diamond, Playboy, Doug Severs, Monique Adams, Chris Rivera, and Corey Logren for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Damn, fellas, I'm out of breath. Scotty D, who you got?
All right, I had to narrow this down. This was harder than I thought. I'm telling you, my two runner-ups are Chris Jericho and Scott Hall. I've always been a favorite of the heels, the bad guys, the guys who are most entertaining to me are those guys. That left me with Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, who was like one of my all-time favorites. I mean, he was so muscular, his freaks and his peaks. You know, had the women out there just saying crazy off the wall promos. I mean, he had for a while there, he was it in WCW. He had the look, the attitude, everything. He was in the NWO. I mean, he was fantastic. And I probably will have said him most of my adult life because I had to go back to YouTube a couple weeks ago and watch some old clips of my first ever favorite wrestler, Rowdy Roddy Piper, who stirred the straw more than anybody. If you're a young wrestler, you want to learn how to be a heel, watch what this dude did back in the day, because he actually elevated Hulk Hogan to the heights of popularity by playing off of him back in the early 80s. So it's hard for me to choose between Rowdy Roddy Piper and his old school ways and Scott Steiner into the 2000s. And those are my two favorites. I'm going to call a tie between those two guys. Be Live, how about you?
I like it. I like a little Roddy Piper. I definitely like that. And Scott Steiner's promo for Sacrifice will just forever be just go.
Steiner math.
Oh, yeah. When he was adding all. Yeah, Google that.
Samoa Joe, you got a 30-30 4/3 chance, and then Kurt Angle, you got a 95th or 1 second chance. Me, on the other hand, what?
He knows he can't beat me, but he got 33 in the third position. But him in, wait a minute. This is not good math at all.
No.
Oh my God. But when I tell you, all right, well, I'm gonna put up there real quick. The Rock, one of the greatest on the mic of all time.
The greatest.
Mm-hmm. Mention him. Also want to mention, nobody mentioned John Cena. No, why? And I'm going to mention him for two reasons. His impact with kids in the Make-A-Wish Foundation is huge.
Yep.
His contributions is second to none.
He granted most in the history of the program.
Yeah,
like
he's number one all time. Yeah, he's number one all time in Make-A-Wish granted.
Yeah, and then Word Life. This was Crazy Thugonomics. I giggled inside because he was masterful on the mic as well. But one person that did not get mentioned and does not, I don't think, gets enough recognition. Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, Mankind, Dude Love. The amount of characters that this guy was and just him being just hard. He is the definition of hardcore. And I know you guys remember that Hell in a Cell match between him and The Undertaker. Jeez, that just next level. And so this was one of the things. Anytime you saw one of his matches, you knew that it was going to go to another level. What was it, Mr. Sacco?
Yeah.
And just
You knew he's taking a beating. You knew that much.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
Oh my God,
getting killed.
And Mick Foley was one of those things that really made us believe and think that wrestling was real, because at the end of the day, it's not. Of course, it's scripted and everything. And I'm mad at y'all right now. Y'all ain't telling me the whole show that my collar was crooked the whole time.
I'm over like, what is he doing? I'm sitting the whole time. I'm like, man, we got a good flow going. And next thing you know, I'm saying, yeah. So
I honestly look at you as little as possible.
he was a legend, and he was a legend. And my collar jetted the whole time. Sorry. I mean, hey, be live, as they say in the wrestling business, we know sold it. We know sold it. We know sold it your collar.
God bless America. I just looked down like, oh my goodness. But yeah, Mick Foley is my favorite, my favorite of all time. And I'm gonna put in an honorable mention. MJF. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I like the guys on the mic, and his mic work is phenomenal. Like
he is a modern day kind of Roddy Piper version, because he's playing that heel version up. I like him a lot too.
And he's in his early 20s.
Yeah, he's got I think he's got a very long career ahead of him. Just his mic work alone, he's just that's my dude. So he might propel himself to my favorite when I'm old and gray. Wait a minute, I'm already old and gray. All right, cool. Eddie Cool. I digress. Sorry.
All right. With that being said, that leaves me. Oh boy, that leaves me Eddie Cool. So, I've been watching wrestling a long time. When my father was alive, that's the thing that really that's what really bonded us together. His love and our love for pro wrestling is something that he's no longer with us. But wrestling is something that's here always and forever. There's sports, there's wrestling, and it's always here, always and forever. I watched a lot of guys. One of my guys is Booker T. I remember watching Booker T on ESPN. He was on what was the federation called? The Global Wrestling Federation. Little known fact, fellas, that's where Buff Bagwell got his start, and the Patriot as well too. Him and his brother were Kane and Cole, and they were known as Booker T and Stevie Ray of the Ebony Experience. And then later on, they got signed to WCW and became one of the greatest tag teams of all time in that promotion. And then Booker T broke out on his own during his time in WCW, and he became the five-time WCW heavyweight champion. He became one of the most decorated wrestlers in promotion history. And then with his charisma, his ability, and his expressions, he went from teaming with Goldust to having WrestleMania matches, the grocery store brawl with with Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is classic today. And then him and Goldust picking at The Rock. Scorpion King is like, I'm the Scorpion King. I got a sword too. I'm Booker T. And he's a Hall of Famer too. And Bad Bunny, who I'll talk about later on, also has a song called Booker T. But the man himself, the kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, 16-time world champion, one of the greatest territory guys of all time. You name the wrestler, he's pretty much faced him until his retirement match in the late early part of 2000s. Ric Flair has done it all, and he's a two-time Hall of Famer by himself, and along with the Four Horsemen in the 80s. I'm trying to tell you, if you're watching this now, you got to get a chance, and you have to go watch some old school Ric Flair stuff. Screaming, hollering, throwing his clothes, elbowing coats. Ric Flair is that dude. Like, if you want to be, that guy, you need to watch yourself some Ric Flair. Ric Flair was that guy. Woo, the Nature Boy.
Oh yeah, he mastered the art of the promo. Like his promo work was, of course, you hear me say this, but his promo work was second to none, and it was just he
revolutionized the promo.
Yeah, and and honestly, wrestling would not be the way it is now. It wouldn't be the sports entertainment entity that it is if it wasn't for Ric Flair. Without question, he put the entertainment into wrestling, and it's the world of WWE, AEW, all of these wrestling companies, they owe a huge debt to Ric Flair. And at the end of the day, he's still having a hard time holding these alligators down.
I don't have it all.
Hey guys, let me ask you real quick here. We'll all three answer this. No explanations, just an answer. Favorite tag team of all time?
Steiner Brothers.
Ooh.
I wasn't ready.
For me,
I was going to say Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat.
So, the Outsiders for me. I love those guys. All right, that was kind of fun, man. It's a little different, off the tracks here from normal. We'll get back to some sports stuff next week.
Yep. So shout out to our participants in this week's Choices of the Voices. At first, I was like, I don't know how this wrestling thing going to go down, but we're going to make the most of it. But as you can see, it's always our most unconventional, unconventional topic that gets the most replies. So that's like what number one all time was the favorite breakfast cereal. Number two was the movies, and number three is the wrestling ones. We're all wrestling fans. WrestleMania was great. Like I said earlier about the Masters and the crowd being back there, it was great seeing the crowd at WrestleMania and seeing like everybody on stage and Vince opening up like those. I got those goosebumps, and I was like, I sat there like I'm in my living room looking at the TV. I'm like, there's people. Oh God, there's a bunch. I was in awe. So you definitely WrestleMania last year and this year, two totally different. It's the same event, but two totally different atmospheres. In a performance center, 2-night extravaganza. In Raymond James Stadium, a 2-night extravaganza with people, fireworks, pyrotechnics. Bailey calling Michael Cole a clown. It's amazing to see wrestling. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's fake. No, it's predetermined, it's scripted. But think about it. You got guys like Ricochet doing what he does, the Lucha Brothers doing what they do. Scotty D, that's your second favorite tag team, right? The Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, I love them. Them.
You got the Lucha Brothers doing what they do. Like, you got a lot of you have to have a little smidgen of athleticism to pull off some of these moves. I forgot to mention one of my other favorite wrestlers was Too Cold Scorpio. The distant don't miss, man. He was a bigger dude, but he was all about that flip flop and fly too. And he was definitely a great man. Too Cold Scorpio and Ric Flair, and everybody had great choices. There's no right or wrong answer, fellas. Everybody had great choices. And with that being said about choices, what's the question for next week's Choices of the Voices, Scotty D? What's on tap?
All right, well, guys, I'm sure by now everyone's heard this terrible story came out last week about Phillip Adams. He was a former NFL player, 32 years old. He killed 5 people and himself. And they are going to study his brain to see if he had some CTE going on there. He was a South Carolina guy. I think he played at South Carolina State, I want to say, and then played for the 49ers, I think. Anyway, I was thinking about asking hot and cold, terrible story and an uplifting sports. But we're going to scrap that. We're just going to ask you, give us an uplifting, pleasant, happy ending sports story of something that happened off the field, not just, my team won the Super Bowl. Tell us about something, a great story, something you heard an athlete do for somebody, something that happened to an athlete or coach, something positive. We're going to talk about something good and positive and uplifting next week. I want to hear something good and positive, damn it, on next week's episode of the Choices of the Voices.
Good vibes, baby. Yep. Good vibes, baby. With that being
going
said,
outside the lines. Give us something positive.
Outside the lines, you better hope that 4-letter network doesn't get us.
We're not going to call it that, but you know what I'm saying. We want to step outside of just what happens on the field. Yep. Outside the box.
Yep. Outside of the box, outside of parameters. Kind of like how Fox Sports became Bally Sports, but that's another topic for another day. I don't like that whole thing. But with that being said, that's been another edition of the Choices of the Voices.